My name is Jerrod Maruyama. I am a freelance illustrator and I specialize in cute character designs. At the very basic, it's communication, conveying something. I've always said that illustration is like art with a job. It has to have a purpose. It can't just exist out of nothing. Then I think you're in the fine art territory. When I sit down to do an illustration, that's always my goal, is how can I best communicate whatever it is I'm trying to get across. With that as the structure, I think it sets up kind of exactly what you have to do. So that's a lot of the legwork right there. And the rest of it is just sort of fulfilling the order. The type of illustration work I do primarily focuses on character design and the cute aesthetic. In the world of illustration, my work tends to slide more towards the design side of things. I am dealing with very simple shapes and objects to create these sort of they're characters, but there's a little more to it than that as well. There's some background elements and things, but things are kept very simple. So just like in design, I think when you have fewer elements to work with, the work becomes very specific. It's not like you can hide behind big swatches of color or filters or things like that. Everything's very precise. So the space between the eyes and a character, or between the eyes and the nose, that all is key. So I could spend a lot of time just fine-tuning and adjusting, just as you would if you were creating, say, a logo. An ideal project for me would be when I get to sort of create a character, but when I have parameters around that character. To just sit down with a blank canvas without any rules or without any requirements, that's much harder for me. I enjoy the challenge of sort of fulfilling an order. That whether that's a client or whether that's something I impose on myself, I feel like there has to be a story, there has to be a backstory, there has to be a reason for this character to exist. In the end of it, you have a way of sort of measuring the success, of saying like, did I satisfy this thing? Am I communicating this right? Is this the best way to tell this story? For me to sort of reawaken the creativity, I like to just go back to why I originally started drawing. Whether that's drawing something specifically for someone, or drawing the things that I used to draw, or drawing a favorite character. That usually helps me get out of any kind of rut that I might be in. So it's like putting away the dull job for a moment and sort of revisiting something else just to get your spark back in here. And then I think you can bring that back to the work that you're doing and find a way, because there's nothing worse than work that is sort of uninspired. And I think our job as creatives, as professional creatives, is to constantly find a way to make even the most boring, mundane jobs interesting. What I'll try to do in those cases is get a first pass as soon as I possibly can, just so that there's a reaction. I think people are better at reacting to things than they are with sort of creating things out of the blue. So you just want to get the ball rolling. And I think once you do that, people are very quick to have opinions, and then those check boxes automatically start appearing. For me as an illustrator, Dribbble has introduced my work to, I think, a very specialized area that might not normally see illustration. It seems these days that illustration and design are blending more than ever, and Dribbble has been a fantastic medium to sort of get eyes on my work that wouldn't normally see it in the illustration world. Be very specific about the goals that you want to achieve, and dream big. Dream bigger than you think is possible, because that's what's going to help you advance. Because I think oftentimes we underestimate what we're able to do and where we can go, and suddenly you're there and you realize you don't have a plan for beyond that. It really comes down to ultimately what you're able to do. And then the last bit of advice I'd give is don't take advice from anybody. Just do your own thing. Find your own way, because ultimately that's what you're going to do. People give advice based on their life experience and the journey that they've had, and that's not yours. So it doesn't always make sense, and you can try to force fit it, but I think ultimately you have to find your own way. When I was younger, my whole goal was to work for Disney or to work for one of these big studios. And I think that's still an admirable goal, but I think the better thing is to say, I want to be a great artist, I want to be a great designer, whatever that may be. And then the other jobs will come. Because I think oftentimes when we do land these jobs, it can be sort of unfulfilling. Because we've built it up so long in our head about what this magic place will be or what this magic job will be, that it can't help but be sort of disappointing. So I think if you focus more on the work and the art, the other stuff will just follow up with that. And I think that's just a better goal than working for a specific company.